Welcome to Stone Cold Stros, episode 18 of season 2. I'm Brandon Strange. I'm joined by Charlie Palillo and Josh Jordan. Read Charlie's column weekly on sportsmap.com and follow him on X at Palillo. Read Josh's work daily on sportsmap.com and follow him on X at JoshJordan975. Show support for the hometown guys in orange by hitting like on this video right now. And you can support our drive to 25 by subscribing to the channel and helping us get one step closer to 25,000 subscribers. We appreciate everyone who has, because this channel cannot exist without your support. So we do appreciate it. Guys, Astros take 2 or 3 from the Angels, but drop Sunday's game and pretty much a gut punch of a loss. A bad luck on defense combined with meltdown from the bullpen. Houston's gone 6-4 of their last 10 and are 6.5 back from first place Seattle, who've also gone 6-4 in their last 10. Rangers continue to scuffle, but keep the Astros at arm's length at a game and a half for the number 2 spot. The schedule remains light with more days off mixed in now. Baseball is a crazy sport. Altuve, Alvarez, Diaz, and even a little sprinkling of Jose Abreu are putting together better swings. Fromber pitched that complete game. I know that the Astros are thin. Guys are banged up now. The margin for error is basically, nil at this point. You think the Astros have enough and are doing enough to take advantage of that floundering AL West?
Not yet. It's a little bit of a mini referendum on whether you're more half glass full or half glass empty by nature. It was Meatloaf who crooned, "Don't be sad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad." With due respect to the late, great Mr. Loaf, it's not always good. The Astros had a chance to sweep 3 from the Cardinals, a mediocre to worse team. Lost the finale. The Angels stink. The Astros take the first 2 games, have a 3-run lead in the finale, and their worst loss of the season. They've had a handful of terrible losses. Sunday's was the worst because the Angels are lousy. You lead the game 7-4 after a big 6th inning to take that lead. The Astros bullpen over the last 6 weeks overall has been excellent. The sore thumb exception sticking out, Ryan Presley. Well, that sore thumb took another direct shot on Sunday. Josh Hader's been great over his last 11 outings, 1 earned run allowed. Well, Sunday, that came to an end. A closer every once in a while is going to give it up. Presley, fairly relentlessly, has stunk. Net result, they took 2 out of 3 in a weekend in which the Mariners lost 2 out of 3. The Rangers lost 2 out of 3. But the Mariners were playing a good Royals team. The Rangers were playing a middling Giants team. Right? And the Astros were playing a lousy Angels team. So it's no cause for, yay, they made up a game. Right? 6.5 out starting the week now. But Sunday's loss, the Astros' 6th of this season. They're now 26-6 in games. They had the lead after 7 innings. Right, 26-6, hey, that sounds really good. It stinks. When you're ahead after 7 innings, 26-6 does not cut it. The Astros last season, games they led after 7 innings, they finished 77-6. So maybe they're going to win 51 without losing one the rest of the way they lead after 7. 2 years ago, 81-5. Games they led after 7 innings, 26-6. That is bad. Presley, the primary culprit. So that was a bad loss Sunday. It just doesn't have the feel that they're going to get on that extended jag where they win 17 out of 22, 22 out of 29. But sometimes those things just seem to materialize out of thin air. It's what the Astros need to happen during this stretch of schedule. The Giants, losing team. The Tigers, very mediocre team. Then they get a shot at the White Sox before 3 with the Orioles. So over these next 9 games, the Astros could really use a 7 out of 9, 8 out of 9. It doesn't feel like they have that in them, but sometimes stuff happens.
At least they're consistent. This is how they've been losing games all year. Bullpen issues. Can't scratch across another run or two when you have plenty of opportunities with guys in scoring position. They've been doing that all season long. And you just eventually these are going to catch up with you. Losing games like this at the end of the season where you'll point to some of these losses and be like, man, that was the difference in the season right there. And speaking of Presley, I mean, it's been bad. In his last 6 appearances, he's given up runs in 3 of them. So that's not what you want from your 8th inning guy. So, but I don't know if there's an answer there. Maybe you have to stop using him in these high leverage situations, at least for a while, temporarily, until you build up a little more confidence in him. But Espada, he's going to go to that 7, 8, 9 that the whole season we've been talking about, that 7, 8, 9's gonna, the game's gonna be over when you hit the 7th inning. Man, when you score 7 runs in a Justin Verlander start and you still lose, that's how this season has been going, unfortunately.
Well, and the alibiers for Presley, the BABIP has been unsustainably bad, over 400, his XFIP is this. Presley has stunk this season, and Sunday was a crystallization of it. Right, he gives up a leadoff double, then gives up a 1-out double. Nothing XFIP-y fluky about either of those. Then he wild pitches the tying run to third, although Yainer Diaz really didn't move very well on that. And he walks a 167 hitter to set up where a little check swing enables the tying run to score. Presley's been terrible this season, whether it's 35 years old and deterioration has kicked in, whether it's just not the same striding in the 8th inning as opposed to being the save guy in the 9th inning. But Presley's made 27 appearances, right? Updating something we touched upon, and not last week, the week before. 14 mil guarantees for next year with 50 appearances. Well, he's on pace, failing an injury sometime soon, to cruise past 50. That's $14 million bad dollars for the Astros to be on the hook for. It also depresses what already would be a depressed Presley trade market just because of the way he's pitched this season.
The Astros front office has taken a flogging this season for the performance and some decisions that have been made off the field. Do they at least get some credit for, I guess, identifying the writing on the wall with Presley and being proactive and getting a hammer to put in that 9th inning? I know they haven't really been able to, because of other things going wrong on the team, really been able to capitalize on that. But I guess a little credit where it's due.
A mixed bag for me. I mean, Hader in a vacuum was a tremendous acquisition. He has not been year in, year out awesome. That's mythology. 5 years, $95 million was an overpay for a closer, just the nature of what they do. And Hader's 30 years old now, and the upside is he gives you 60, 65 innings. I do like the more aggressive way that Espada has used him, or maybe the way that Hader has agreed to be used now that he has all that guaranteed money. But the Hader contract was one guy in a reaction to previously having gone economical in the back end of their bullpen depth, right? With Stanek leaving and Neris leaving and Maton leaving, none of whom are having a real good lead. Right? Stanek giving one up for the Mariners over the weekend. And, the Astros lost Sunday was terrible. The Mariners blew an 8-0 lead Friday night, right? All teams are going to have a couple, 3, 4 of those games during the course of the season that, it just got away. But the Astros ratio of them this season is unacceptable for a team that wants to get back to the playoffs for the 8th year in a row. But will there be budget ramifications going forward because you've committed $19 million per year for your closer? And that's why if Presley's contract vests, that's problematic a little bit for next season. Different level, and I'm not overly concerned yet with Justin Verlander, but he's had 2 bad outings in a row. And when you're 41 years of age, father time's creeping up. Verlander start in, start out, just has not been close to a dominant starter. He's made 10 starts. He's been good to excellent in 6 of them. He's been poor in 4 of them, right? That's not ace type stuff. And while the Mets would still be on the hook for half the money, Verlander gets to 140 innings. That's still $17.5 million on the books next year. McCullers is $17 million next year. Javier is $13 million next year. So how Crane and company are going to budget the Astros payroll unless this season spirals downward and they're actually going to back off and move to cut back salary and reposition for 2-3 years from now. A lot is up in the air with this ball club, not just for 2024.
Yeah, I'm with Charlie. Until we know how they use the money they do have, I'm not going to give them credit for the Hader thing. We don't know what's going to happen with Bregman and Tucker and any other possible free agents in the offseason. So I'm going to kind of slow my roll and see how they spend the money that they do have ready to go add some quality players, hopefully.
The Rangers signed Kirby Yates and David Robertson combined for a little more than half the money the Astros are paying Hader this year, right? The Astros owe Hader 4 more years at $19 million per. Kirby Yates has been better than Josh Hader this season.
But they've been getting more out of Seth Martinez and Taylor Scott than probably they could have anticipated. So you could make, the assertion that those guys are picking up some of those innings that you might be paying substantially more for had you re-signed a guy like Maton or Stanek or Neris. But in the short term, not just keeping it to this season, Presley has struggled. Obviously, I don't know that the Astros have a whole lot of answers to put. I mean, Brian Abreu looked like he was trying to round into form, looked like he was getting back to where he was, but then now he's gone back and joined Presley into the crew of guys who are struggling to put clean innings together. And so, I mean, I think Brian Abreu is probably a better choice than Presley, but Presley, I don't even know as it stands right now as you can trust in the seventh inning. What do you think they do? And if they decide to die on the Ryan Presley hill, the way they seem determined to die on the Jose Abreu hill, how much more does that going to burn goodwill with the fan base?
I think the fan base, it's about overall results. So I don't think demotion of Presley, hey, you're abandoning a guy who never blew a save as the closer during this run. What have you done for me lately, world? If they think Taylor Scott is a better pitcher right now than Ryan Presley, which he is. If you think Seth Martinez is a better pitcher right now than Ryan Presley, which he is, well, then they should be starting to crack the door on some leverage opportunities at Presley's expense. It's just too many outings where he's been straight up poor.
I'm more worried about the starting rotation. To Charlie's point about Verlander, and Charlie wrote it in his column for SportsMap last week. Him at 41 years old, yeah, read it. Him at 41 years old, pitching on 4 days rest over and over again. You're seeing what that looks like right now. They got to get another starting pitcher, especially when they're playing games pretty much every single day. I think they got to get somebody in there to take some innings off of Verlander. And of course, Arrighetti and Hunter Brown, these guys aren't players that are used to throwing, just massive amounts of innings. They're young guys. So they got to find somebody in here to just take a little bit of the load off. I don't know if that's a trade or somebody they can promote. I understand the system is pretty thin, but you ask Dana Brown, he starts bringing up all these guys that you've pretty much never heard of that are pitching great in the minors. So if that's actually the case, get them up here.
Near term, the schedule is helpful. They have an off day this Thursday, an off day the following Monday, but they have stretches still to come this season where they play 16 days in a row, 13 days in a row. So they're pushing it. Right? Ronel Blanco inevitably was going to fall off. He was not going to pitch to a sub-2 earned run average all season. Last two starts, not good. Verlander, last two starts, now good. On the encouraging side, Framber Valdez pretty locked in. Right? He had that one bad first inning and then settled down after that. But overall, 6 of his last 8 starts, Framber's been excellent. And they need him to A, pitch well, and B, consume a lot of innings in doing it, and that's why they let him go all 106 pitches, the complete game in Anaheim over the weekend. But the 5 guys they have in their rotation, as currently constituted, probably not going to cut it to wind up a playoff team. Luis Garcia, after the All-Star break, maybe, right? Leave the quality aside, just the availability. McCullers, who the heck knows? Dana Brown should be working hard. You can find someone who's a 5th starter type to give you a few innings. I mean, the alternative is to promote Eric Lauer, the guy the Pirates released, that he has a decent start or 2 here at Sugarland. Is that really what you're going to call up? That would smack of, if not desperation, a lack of resources and or resourcefulness.
But as it pertains to playing the best guys, we've seen that this season specifically doesn't seem to be a meritocracy all the time. And, they brought up on, I think it was on the pre-show with Dana Brown and talked about, at St. Actually, I think it was the in-game interview, right? When they were talking with Dana Brown, when he was in the booth during the broadcast, they asked him about Lo Perfido because they brought up Lo Perfido when Tucker went down. And he said, yeah, Lo Perfido needs to play. And, he's a young guy. He needs to get at-bats. He hasn't sniffed an at-bat. And he went a week the last time he was up without sniffing an at-bat. So I'm not necessarily saying that I know Joey Loperfido is a better option at first base or in lieu of some of the guys who are struggling. And it was nice to see Chaz, over the past couple of games, make some better contact with balls. So maybe there's a sign that he's coming out of it. But you got a guy like Joey Loperfido, who was hitting 333 last time he was up at the big club, who can't sniff an at-bat right now. Pedro Leon's tearing the cover off the ball in AAA right now. He can't even get a call up right now. There do seem to be some other options that are out there, but it's hard to find out or hard to understand how the decisions are getting made by who's playing and who's making them.
In McCormick's case, I thought it was about to where he needed to be sent to Sugarland to take a few days to try to get his swing together. He's been late on everything. He's been chasing high fastballs galore. But then he had the opposite field blow for a triple on Saturday, right? Chaz's opposite field power, I thought, was his signature last season. Then a 2-hit game on Sunday, so probably grants him a temporary reprieve if he was going to be in need of one. Jake Myers had sizzled for a month. He'd stunk it up for the last 3 weeks, a 2-hit game on Sunday. Also, the misfortune of Loperfido, who they're pigeonholing early on as no more than a platoon guy. They faced this left-handed starter against the Angels Saturday, another Sunday. Monday night against the Giants, it's another left-handed starter. If Loperfido's not in the lineup Tuesday against Jordan Hicks, Wednesday against Logan Webb, a couple of right-handers, not Lucy, Joe Espada would have some explaining to do. They need Loperfido in there against all right-handed pitching, and that includes some at first base. If you're an Astros fan, you want the Astros to do well, but I would think it's actually mildly frustrating that Jose Abreu is doing just enough. A home run in a garbage time situation. He did actually manage to pull a ball Sunday in fair territory for a double down the line, but he's 7 for 35. That's 200 since his return. But he's popped a couple of home runs and a double, so they're probably going to continue to play him. I mean, he's had a couple starts against right-handed pitching as John Singleton is downward sloped and is now in baseball witness protection. To me, Loperfido would still be my primary first baseman. See if he gives you a baseball B12 shot. And Leon knocking on the door. If Chaz had taken one more offer, I'd have thought, that we're not just burying you, Chaz, but hey, go clear your head, try to get your swing together and give Leon a little taste. But I don't see that happening.
No, I'd love to see Loperfido get regular at bats at first base. We know what this is. They're just going to keep running Abreu out there. And they did it with Maldonado last year. It's not going to change. And they're paying Abreu way more than they were paying Maldonado. So I think we just kind of have to grin and bear it with him.
Be in their best interest. I think they're loath to accept it, but it would be in their best interest for Abreu to break out about a 2 for 26, where they could say, okay, it's time. Here's all your money. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, I wish I were as confident as you that a 2 for 26 would get the job done, but I feel like it's almost a vampire situation where it's just, what do you have to do to put the corpse of Jose Abreu down? And I hate to talk about Jose Abreu. Dude's had an amazing career, MVP. I don't want to speak disparagingly of a guy who's had a good career, but he's just
business, Brandon. It's business. It's not personal.
It is a performance-based industry. It's a performance-based league. You have to perform. He's not performing. And as I alluded to earlier, the decision-making has been questionable at times. We got a little bit of a tease into, I guess, some different perspective as far as how the decision-making internally is happening. And we're going to talk about that in part 2 of our conversation. To listen to the full episode, it's available now on your favorite podcast provider. So if you listen to your podcast, you can go check that out and you can listen to the entire episode. It is available right now. And to watch the rest of this conversation here on YouTube, just check back on this channel on Sports Map Houston, and you can watch part 2 when it gets posted shortly. And as always, go Astros.